the kind of thing that not only will the fellows here on board be happy to send home, but I think it's the kind of thing that people you send them to at home will be delighted to get, and impressed with your thoughtfulness, and we're smart enough to make them legal size because that's the primary size envelope we have available on board.
Well, you know, I wonder if they have a graphic for a Easter bunny.
Lord, I hope not. But one more thing about the print shop, they've printed over 6 million articles, different print items since the beginning of cruise. And we talk about traps, and we talk about landings and all these other things that are important. It's also important to remember those guys that do a fine job down there.
Sure. They sure do. I stay in close contact with those guys down there. They do a lot of work for me. Well, it's for the whole ship when they do it for me. But they do top-notch quality work. Speaking of figures, I think the gun boss put some information out about the bombs dropped.
1,100,000 and something pounds of ordnance, and that's
given from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they also said the same thing, and they made 2 banners, and we'll post those down on the mess decks, one with the American flag and another with the Eagles on it. And he also asked if we needed any sporting events or anything like that they could send out to us, and I think I might take them up on that. They can get us some car shows and drag races and whatever else the crew might want. They can give me a call, put it on my recorder.
okay. Well, I guess we can take on a fuel question right now. There's a question here that says, why do every time we take on fuel during unreps, the water on board tastes like fuel? I don't really think that there's necessarily a direct correlation like that. As a matter of fact, since I've been on board Saratoga here the last few months, I've noticed how little there's fuel in the water. Most carriers that I've been on, and I've been on a few, sometimes it's to the point where the actual color of the water is kind of a light blue because of the amount of fuel that's in the water. But Saratoga, we seem to have that pretty well under control.
Yes, sir. Well, when I was on here before, the problem we used to have was I was below decks petty officer at that time, and every time we got ready to pump out the droges, we'd have to notify DC Central, and they'd make sure that the inductors were closed off before we started stripping those. And sometimes when they give us a go-ahead, they didn't always have them closed at that time, or they forgot to close one, and they just sucked some of the JP5 up in there. But not very much. They don't take much to detain it.
Well, I talked to the engineer today because it's stronger than normal today, and they're looking into it. They're certainly into that reason as far as the inductors are concerned, and whether it's gone down to the main drains, and whether they're picking up into some of the freshwater tanks through the evaporators. But to be honest with you, they think that there's more to it than that, and they're still working on the problem and trying to find out exactly what it is. But in the meantime, they have gone to uncontaminated tanks. The problem is that once you get that fuel in the pipes, so we got so many miles of pipes here on board ship that it takes a while to purge those pipes. So they feel that it'll probably be into tomorrow sometime before the pipes are completely purged and we're into pure water.
Sure.
Okay.
We had the Red Sea Battle Forces lined up today for a good picture shoot.
It has a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful day for it, and I hope that a lot of you got a chance to get up and take a look at it because there's something to see.
There were a lot of people up there today. A lot of sailors already asked me, are they going to have photos for the crew to buy like we did before?
Well, the same thought occurred to me, so I asked some of our ops people to call over to the Kennedy who were running the photo and ask them to make sure that we got negatives to pick from over here as soon as possible. And when that happens, we'll see what we can do about getting some of those, getting them printed up and making them available, possibly through the ship store.
Well, I would think that we'd probably be able to sell about 10,000 copies of those, because they're going to go like hotcakes.
Well, if they've taken good pictures, and my fingers are crossed that they have, because they had a beautiful day, and the sun angle looked just about right. And then, of course, the most important thing was that Saratoga was in front, in the middle, in the lead, where we should be. So if they had good photographers up there, we should get really a collector's item for a picture.
Well, they had enough helos up there. It looked like they were taking a lot of pictures.
Hopefully, they got some video too.
Yes, sir.
When will we be able to relax modified Zebra?
When it's over?
when it's over, when we get ready to go home, whichever happens first. Modified Zebra is not there just to make life inconvenient for us. The real reason it's there, of course, is to be able to give us a head start in case we do have to go to a general quarters for real, or if in fact we get a very short notice attack. We draw on the lessons from some of the ships that have been in the Persian Gulf, one of which hit a mine, one of which was hit by a Exocet missile, both of which had little or no advanced notice. And those ships were very lucky to survive. Both of them took superhuman damage control efforts to be able to save those ships. Both of them feel, had they been in a little more advanced stage of damage control readiness, that the loss of life would have been a lot less, and they would have had a much easier time of being able to save those ships. So we feel like we're going to get a head start on it.
Sure. Well, a couple of admin notes. The General Mess Advisory Board is at 1400 tomorrow on the after mess decks. So you guys that like to complain about the chow, now's your time to go down there and put your 2 cents in. They have a very good meeting. Only thing that 4 or 5 of the MS personnel show up out of S2, and a couple of mess deck master arms, and maybe 1 or 2 people there to represent the department. So the reps need to get there so they can put out a meaningful meeting.
Well, and I'll add this to that. I take a look at all those minutes that are reviewed by me, and I can tell you right now that they do have an impact. So if you've got something that's worth saying, you think that you'd like to see something changed, I can guarantee you that it will get reviewed by a supply officer, by myself, and lots of other levels in between. And if it looks like a good idea, we'll do it.
Sir, another admin statement here is 2000 tomorrow is the deadline for qualification for the March exams. We've said it numerous times, but after 2000 tomorrow night, they can forget it. And I know a lot of these training POs out there have been working hard, and if your name still shows up on that list, you need to go to your training PO and say, hey, I've turned my courses into you. You need to dig in there and get that stuff out and get it down to ESO before 2000 tomorrow, or it's too late.
Don't make any assumptions, because I guarantee those guys that are making the assumptions that somebody has done something for them and that everything's okay. We're going to find out that a certain percentage of you are not okay. So don't make any assumptions. Take some positive action to make sure that you're ready to go. Valentine's Day coming up, Master Chief, and we got some Valentines distributed around the ship. I think at least at the rate of 1 per man were distributed to all the departments, division, and air wing squadrons, and the 2 staffs on board. So I think that my personal opinion is relatively short notice. The Public Affairs Office who put the design together and the print shop who turned them out did a super job, and I think it's the kind of thing that not only will the fellows here on board be happy to send home, but I think it's the kind of thing that people you send them to at home will be delighted to get, and impressed with your thoughtfulness. And we're smart enough to make them legal size, because that's the primary size envelope we have available on board.
Well, you know, I wonder if they have a graphics for a Easter bunny.
Lord, I hope not. But one more thing about the print shop, they've printed over 6 million articles, different print items since the beginning of cruise. And we talk about traps, and we talk about landings and all these other things that are important. It's also important to remember those guys that do a fine job down there.
Sir, they sure do. I stay in close contact with those guys down there. They do a lot of work for me. Well, it's for the whole ship when they do it for me. But they do top-notch quality work. Speaking of figures, I think the gun boss put some information out about the bombs dropped.
1,100,000 and something pounds of ordnance, and that's iron bombs only. That doesn't count the rockets and rockeye and all those other fancy weapons that we've thrown. Just in terms of strict green bombs, iron bombs, over 1,000,000 pounds have been delivered, transferred for the Iraqis' use.
Sure. Well, I think tonight or tomorrow before noon we're going to hit 10,000 traps also, which is well beyond normal cruise.
Well beyond normal cruise, and certainly a good Saratoga, an important Saratoga milestone. I'll tell you, every time I walk back there too, just to throw in another pat in the back, every time I walk back and see those guys that are back there working away, keeping up the arresting gear, never an easy job. It's not a pleasant place to work. We got some fine fellows back there that keep up the arresting gear, And it's the same thing with the catapults. We've got a lot of hard-working guys that work in unpleasant surroundings to keep those things going, do it safely, and do it well time after time. Pace course questions. I got a number of pace course questions here the last few days in my suggestion box, and people have stopped me here and there and asked me if we're going to be able to continue the pace course. And I've done a little research on it here, Master Chief, and effectively it doesn't look too good, just because we're going to assume that we don't have the amount of time left that it takes to do one. Normal time, of course, is 8 weeks to do a full pace course, and even the abbreviated one takes at least 6 weeks. And typically we need several days to a week between courses. We don't finish the current semester until the 9th, which means it would be a middle of the month before we can start again. It means we couldn't finish until the end of March, first part of April at the earliest, which puts us in kind of a tight spot. One of the requirements with PACE to maintain our eligibility, contract eligibility, is that we need to have a greater than a 60% completion rate. My concern is that if we were to start another PACE course now and go through the mechanics of what it takes to get one started again with the single instructor that we'll have on board, is that we won't get finished before we get back, and with leaves and whatnot, not only have a lot of people not finishing it, but we might not, in fact, probably would not make our minimum completion requirements. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the fact that we're just not going to have enough time. I'm betting on the come that we will not have enough time to get it done. So at this time, I don't expect to move forward with another PACE course.
Yes, sir. And with saying that, there'll be some people out there put the rumor out tomorrow, the EXO said we'll be back in 6 weeks to the finished PACE course.
Well, the EXO helps we'll be back in 6 weeks.
That's right. Yes, sir. Because a lot of people pick up on some of the things that we do say, and they don't realize the rumors that they start spreading. And there was no rumor intended by any of that.
Well, and I heard a couple good ones today, and we'll talk about those in a minute here. What else do you have, Master Chief?
We're going to do zone inspection Thursday?
Zone inspection Thursday. I think that we're doing a formal zone inspection on Thursday, which means that we're going to look at the whole ship. There are some exceptions to that. Those spaces that got double outstandings last time, of course, will be exempt this time, and there's plenty of them. And pat on the back to those individuals responsible for getting those cleaned up, though. The one reward that I can give you directly is to not make you do 2 zone inspections in a row, so you're exempt this time.
Yes, sir. Well, coming up real soon, we have our January Sailor of the Month, Junior Payoffs of the Month, and Sailorman board meeting. They will meet on the 9th, but the nominations are due at 1200 on the 7th, which is only a couple of days away. We want to make sure everybody has a good chance to represent their department, and looking forward to the recommendations to be in by 1200 on the 7th.
Master Chief, I'm a little surprised as an old Air Department and purple shirt yourself that you didn't say anything about the grapes. You probably weren't aware that last night they pumped their 20 millionth gallon of JP5 for the deployment. Some people are going to add on to that. They know where some of it went, and I'm not going to touch that, but congratulations to Purple Shirts. And I'll tell you one thing, that we've got I've been down to some of the pump rooms. I've seen some of the fellows we have working in the department. I'm very impressed with our V4 division on board. I think they do a good job. And I can tell you, for those of you who've never associated with them, not sure what they do, or not sure how complex it is, they have the responsibility for an awful lot of tanks, a lot of pumps, responsibility for getting that stuff up to the roof, the responsibility for getting it into the aircraft, responsibility for making sure that the fuel is pure, clean and bright, as they say, and they work the whole system from when it comes aboard until when it gets into the airplanes, and it's a critical system. It takes a lot of expertise to do it, a lot of hard work, and they do a good job.
Well, I knew we were getting close, but I didn't know we had hit that milestone.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure we have a lot of other figures out there, too. I know we've probably hit about 5 million meals served, and
we're going to hear about them here pretty soon, I bet.
16 million hot dogs and 42 million hamburgers. I tell you, we're going to pass McDonald's here soon.
That's right, and I want to hear about those. We'll get them on TV. The Special Services asked me to put out a small advertisement for people to be on the lookout and careful about Vandalism is the word they use. I'm not sure if I want to use that strong a term, but we are missing parts off of some of our exercise cycles in particular. Some of the foot straps and things like that have a tendency to walk away. We work real hard to try to get new ones made, but what it does is slows down the amount of exercise equipment that's available. By the way, the special services people are taking some of those exercycles that need to be reworked. They're putting them into rework now, and they're putting them back out there online in various parts of the ship where we keep them for people to use. So you can all help us out by keeping an eye on the gear while you pass by and make sure that nobody's walking off with anything.
Well, you know, we have a few inconsiderate shipmates. What they'll do is they figure, well, somebody else is going to get the straps, so I'll take them with me. When I come back, I'll have them. But if I see somebody carrying them, they won't use the cycles again.
Well, we got over 4,500 men on board, and there's an awful lot of them like to use those cycles. We're looking real hard at different areas where we can increase our gym size and get more exercise equipment on board and stuff like that. But they just make life tougher and make us require us to post more watches around the clock on that stuff when that kind of thing happens. So I want to get away from that. Let me talk heads for a second. I know you've got a number of things. Real quickly, starboard side aft, we've got a number of heads that have given us problems because of plumbing problems. And one in particular that continues to get shut down is a high usage head back there. It's around 224, I believe it is, 03 starboard side aft. Getting an awful lot of, we're picking everything but the kitchen sink literally out of those commodes, fellas, and we probably have had an average of 2 trouble calls a day on one of those 3 heads back there every day in the last 6 weeks, if not the whole cruise. And so I need to ask your help in taking care of those things. We'll try to keep more heads open back there, but we need you to be careful about how you use them. Get some questions. Master Chief, I'll pick the hard ones for you. It says, it appears that the mail going out isn't getting home as fast as it should be. Do you have any info on that?
Well, my wife said that she hasn't been getting much mail at all either. It's hard to say. It seems like mail will be going back a lot faster than it's getting over here because you wouldn't think parts and stuff are going back there. But it could be a lot of retrograde getting back there to get fixed and then get shipped back over here. Black boxes and different things.
Maybe we can get one of the postal people to call us and give us their input. My experience over the years has been that for some reason it always gets out here faster than it gets back to the States. And I don't know the reason why that is, because we don't hold it on board for an appreciable amount of time. We get everything off just about every day. So I don't know, but I do know that it's coming out here pretty fast. In some cases, we're getting mail that I think that I heard somebody got mail that was only a week old.
I got a letter last night that was dated 28th. Got one dated tonight, it was dated 23rd.
So you just don't know?
I don't know, no, sir.
I can't read some of these. What are we going to do about all this plastic trash? That's a good XO question, I guess. We have a Navy-wide requirement. In fact, it's fast becoming an international requirement by now. But right now, there's a national requirement, and particularly Navy-wide requirement, to not throw plastic in the water. Now, we go ahead and we throw contaminated food plastic over the side when necessary, and we have incinerated it because it's dangerous. It's unhealthy to keep that stuff on board. We have to get rid of it. The dry plastic stuff, we're required by instruction to be able to keep it as on board as long as possible. After 20 days, then we have the option of being able to offload it and dump it over the side if necessary. We prefer not to do that. We prefer to be able to offload it as we can onto one of the unwrapped ships that's going back to Jeddah, because they have a trash disposal site there, and their waste disposal set up, and they take care of it for us there. The last couple of unwraps we've had with ships going back to Jeddah, in fact, we've gotten off a total of 20-some tri-walls full of dry plastic. Typically what we do is we hold it on station for about 5 days at a time. Then we will make an announcement or call all the various departments and tell them to go ahead and bring the dry plastic down to the hangar. Usually with only a few hours notice, we'll take all that we can get within that time frame, put it in the tri-walls, and we'll offload it. Well, the reason we don't often have a lot of notice is because we don't know if the ship, often they don't get back to us much before the time they get alongside and tell us. I keep a close eye on that around the ship. If it looks like it's going to become an insurmountable problem in the future, then we'll start to come up with some other means of disposing it, but that's the technique right now.
Sure.
Why does a jet shop test engines at 0 to 100? Well, unfortunately, this is not a naval air station where we have to have quiet hours. This is a combat vessel, and as a result, we've got engines that have to be tested at various times during the day because we've got short fuse requirements to change an engine, and oftentimes we don't have a spare engine, and we have to take an engine off an aircraft. We have to repair it back in the jet shop in AIMD and do a test on it, and then get right back on an aircraft. Or we need the parts off of them that has been just taken down off an aircraft so that we can build up one that's in the jet shop, test it quickly, and get it back onto an airplane so we can get it back up and get it